Hi, thank you so much for joining me for a 30-minute beginners class. This class will get us moving and we'll have some standing postures, but we will not be doing any chaturangas. So this is perfect for you if you're not familiar with chaturanga or if you have any shoulder issues and don't have chaturanga in your practice. But again, we will be up on our feet as well as some deep stretch toward the end of class. So it's lunchtime here in beautiful Grandby, Colorado. We're up here in the mountains with this spectacular background. I hope you enjoy it. And let's get started in Sukhasana easy pose. So go ahead and come into a comfortable seated position. In Sukhasana, we actually want one leg in front of the other. So you can choose which leg you want in front of the other. If your hips are tight, however, you can sit yourself up on a block and get a little more height. And then wherever you are in your seated position, try and get the shoulders stacked over the hips and the crown of the head reaching up toward the sky or the ceiling. Okay, so we want one straight line from the crown of the head all the way down to the base of the spine. The shoulders should be relaxed and down away from the ears. So try to avoid any hunching of the shoulders up by the ears, which sometimes this can even be our natural position. So try as best as you can to take the shoulders, take a nice deep roll them down and away from the ears. And then you can rest your hands, palms face down on your knees. This is really a nice way to ground your energy. Or if you're feeling low on energy, you can rest your palms face up. This can be just a hand mudra or a position to help us just receive some energy. So whatever is most comfortable for you. And then if you feel pretty grounded and settled, go ahead and close your eyes. And we're going to do a real basic pranayama. So let's just connect with the breath, and then I will talk you into our pranayama, which is just simply a breathing exercise. So close your eyes if you're comfortable. Take an inhale through the nose, fill all the way up. Just hold it at the top just for a beat, and then open mouth exhale. So open the mouth and let it go. Again, this is a nice way to ground into your space. Do it again. Inhale through the nose. Hold it at the top, and then when you're ready, release it through the mouth. Close your lips. Start breathing in and out through the nose. So this is just a nice time to start to observe the breath. Just take notice. If your breathing is shallow or rapid or long or slow, just notice it. And then in our pranayama or our breathing exercise, we'll actually start to shape the breath. So just a couple more breaths here as we settle into our space. So you can just listen to my voice if your eyes are closed, or you can open your eyes. For our breathing exercise, this is just going to help us expand our lungs as we inhale. So just take your hands off of your knees and bring them alongside the body. And as we inhale, we're just going to reach the arms up overhead, fill up the lungs. Again, hold it at the top, but this time we're going to exhale through the nose. And as we exhale through the nose, we're going to release the hands down just to tap the floor or our mat. And then we're going to do a couple more of those. So inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. As we shape the breath, try and have each inhale and each exhale a little bit longer, smoother, and slower. And two more just like this. Of course, always at your own pace. So if my inhales and my exhales are slower or faster than yours, don't feel like you need to slow your breath or speed it up. One more at your own pace. As you complete the exhale, just rest the hands down on the earth. And then if you're in Sukhasana with one leg in front of the other, go ahead and switch the cross of the legs, because it's going to feel like maybe a little bit of a different stretch in the hips. And then we're going to take a couple more breaths just like that with the inhale and the exhale, including the arms. So on the next inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale, release the hands down to the earth. And then just one more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach the arms up overhead, and then we're going to take this into a seated twist, a nice gentle twist. So take your left hand to your right knee and your right hand out behind. As best as you can, try and keep the shoulders stacked over the hips. Start to look out over the right shoulder. Take another full breath here in the twist. Let the belly fill up and expand as we inhale, and then draw the belly button back to the spine as we exhale. So just a gentle constriction to the core, and then inhale, both arms up overhead, back to center. And exhale to the opposite side. So right hand is going to come to left knee, left hand is going to come out behind. Now keep the shoulders stacked over the hips and the hand right behind that left hip as we start to look out over the left shoulder. Take a nice deep breath here into the belly. So let the belly in on the inhale expand. And then as we exhale, we'll find just a gentle contraction to the core. So drawing the belly button back toward the spine, completing the exhale. On the next inhale, bring both arms up overhead. And then exhale for a chest expansion. Take the hands behind at the back. It's going to look like this. You're just going to interlace the hands at the base of the spine. As best as you can, start to press the palms of the hands together. So your arms might be really bent, or you might be able to start to straighten the arms. This is just going to help us broaden and expand through the chest. So inhale here, open through the chest, and then exhale, optional, you can start to hinge forward at the hips and take a forward fold. So we'll release our forehead toward the floor and bring our hands up and over the back of the head. So this might just look like this today as we hinge forward, maybe lift the arms just a little bit. Maybe if the hips are open, the shoulders are open, it looks like this. But wherever you are, just feel a nice expansion in your shoulders and your chest. Take one more full breath. Inhale. Complete the exhale. And inhale, come all the way back up. We're going to bring the shoulders right over the hips, release the hands, and then we're going to stretch the spine side to side. So we're going to take a side bend. Inhale the arms back up overhead, just like we've been doing. And this time on the exhale, we're going to bring the right hand to the floor or the mat, and then start to release that right elbow down toward the floor. The left arm is eventually going to come up and over, keeping the shoulder in line with the hip. So again, that might just look like this for you today, as long as you're getting this nice expansion through your side. If you're feeling pretty open through the side, maybe the elbow comes down, maybe the arm reaches up and over. Okay, so just feel a stretch. Try to keep your sitting bones grounded on the floor, and then come back to center, and we'll switch sides. So bring the left hand to the floor, maybe the elbow, maybe that right arm comes up and over. Maybe it's just here today. Just feel this nice stretch. Try to keep your sitting bones on the floor. Take another full breath. Come back up. Both arms up overhead. Just reach, inhale, and exhale, release. Good, so that was our nice gentle spinal warm-up. We're going to continue to warm up the spine and make our way to our first downward facing dog. So come on to the hands and the knees for a tabletop position. And we're just going to take those hips right over the knees, the shoulders right over the wrists, spread the hands wide, ground down through the finger pads, and then we'll take some cat-cows. So on the inhale, we'll come into cow pose. We drop the belly, we lift the tailbone, we lift through the crown of the head, and then as we exhale, we come into cat pose. So we'll start to gently round the spine. So start to look toward navel center, lift and separate the shoulder blades, chin to chest, and then with the breath. So inhale, cow pose, exhale, cat pose, at the pace of your breath. So again, if you need to speed it up or slow it down, that's fine. Just warming up the spine. Inhale, exhale, round into cat. And then come back to a neutral tabletop position. Take the knees wide, bring the toes to touch, bring the hips to the heels, and start to walk the hands forward. So this is called extended child's pose. It's a nice stretch for our hips and our shoulders. We press the tailbone down and back, and we lengthen through the spine. So as best as we can, try to keep the head in line with the spine. So nice extension here, and then we'll come all the way back up to tabletop position. All right, we're gonna work into our first downward facing dog. So once again, stack those shoulders right over the wrists, spread the fingers wide, tuck all 10 toes under, and then start to lift the hips high as we release the heels down toward the mat. Now we're working toward a nice long spine. So if that means that we need to walk the feet forward and bend the legs a lot, that's okay if the hamstrings are feeling tight. Okay, so your down dog might look like this, or if your hamstrings are a little more open, you might be able to walk your feet back, press your heels down, and work towards straight legs. Wherever you are today is great, as long as we're working toward keeping the spine nice and long and neutral to the best of our ability. So take another full breath. All right, now take your gaze toward your hands and then just very slowly start to walk your feet toward your hands. You can bend your legs as much as you need. And again, keep your hands on the mat. So if you need to bend your legs a lot, go ahead and do that. We're gonna come into Ragdoll. So this should feel like a nice stretch along the entire length of the spine. So we are focusing on spinal length versus hamstring length. So go ahead and just let your head hang heavy toward the floor. The torso comes to rest on the thighs, and hands are either on the floor, or even if you need some blocks here, that's okay as well. Just focus on letting the head hang heavy. Take another full breath. If you feel grounded and stable, you can always take opposite hand to opposite elbow. This just provides a little more traction here with the weight of your arms dangling versus resting on the floor. Last breath in Ragdoll. And then take your hands, if they're not already, back to the floor. Heel toe the feet together. And then just very slowly, you're gonna round all the way up to standing. So stacking one vertebra at a time. Your head is gonna come last. Good. And let's find mountain pose. So in mountain pose, you can take your feet to hip distance apart. If you have any low back issue or any balance issues, the other option, of course, is always to take your toes to touch. You'll have a little bit of a space between your heels because you want the sides of your feet parallel to the sides of your mat. Okay, so either way is great. Get really active in the feet. So you're going to want to spread your toes so each toe is making contact with the mat. And then we'll start from our foundation. So we're going to want the hips stacked right over the heels. So if you find that you're swaying forward or pressing back, try to get those hips right over the heels. If we have a sway in our back, just try to draw that tailbone down. So you can see it, you can kind of feel it with your hand on your front and your back, and just neutralize your low back, okay? And then coming up, the chest is gonna stay lifted and bright as opposed to collapsed. Arms are going to be really active. Fingers are going to face down. So palms will face out, fingers face down. And then you're going to feel an engagement here in your triceps. Okay, so in mountain pose, we're not just hanging out in a stand. We're really active. Again, another really grounding posture. So just feel your feet making contact with the ground, and then feel the energy rising up and lifting you through the crown of the head. If you feel balanced, close your eyes. And we're going to take 3 breaths here, just in silence. In and out through the nose, 2 more breaths. Just notice your energy. Last full breath. The eyes are closed, go ahead and open them. On the inhale, reach both arms up overhead, and we're gonna take another side bend. So take your right middle finger and your thumb and connect them around your left wrist, and then we're just gonna side bend to the right. Good, real nice and gentle. Yeah, to the best of your ability, stay lifted instead of collapsed. Come back through center and we'll take it on the other side. So encircle your right wrist with your left hand and side bend to the left. Keep your right shoulder in line with your right hip. So you should feel this really nice stretch through your right side, breathing into your right lung, breathing into your right ribs, expanding here. And then come back to center. And then we'll cactus the arms and expand the chest. So just draw your elbows down, lift your chest, lift your chin. Keep your core engaged, don't collapse into your low back. And then inhale, come all the way back up to tall mountain. And exhale, we're gonna hinge at the hips, reach through the fingertips and come down into forward fold. And again, bend your knees as much as needed, but work toward keeping a nice lengthened spine. So in this pose, as opposed to Ragdoll, this is called Uttanasana or standing forward fold. In this pose, we are working the hamstrings. You might have really tight hamstrings and it might look very similar to Ragdoll, but maybe you start to lengthen the hamstrings while we straighten the legs. Try to the best of your ability to keep your hips right over your ankles. So just kind of rock around until you find that position. Take one more breath in Uttanasana, standing forward fold. Inhale. Exhale. And then we're going to come into Ardha Uttanasana or half forward fold or monkey pose. So take your hands to the floor or to your shins or to your thighs and come up to a flat back. So we're going to keep the head in line with the spine, all in line with the base of the spine. So one long line, I guess is what I'm trying to say. One flat back. So your hands might be resting on the floor, shins or thighs. Again, focusing here on hamstring length and a little bit of spinal strength as well. Come back into forward fold. And then we're going to come into plank pose just for a breath. So this is a nice core strengthener. So just walk your feet back. Keep your feet in line with your hips. So the feet are not touching. They're at hip distance apart and the shoulders are stacked right over the wrists. And then from here, we'll just press back to our downward facing dog. So we've already been here. One breath, inhale, exhale. And then go ahead and look at your hands again and walk your feet to the front of your mat. Forward fold. And then rise up, tall mountain. So reaching the arms up overhead. Maybe we look up to the fingertips this time. Connect the palms of the hands over the head and then bring the hands to heart center. Okay, we're going to move into 3 different standing poses. So first we're going to do warrior 2 pose. So we're going to keep the right foot right where it is at the front of our mat and we're just going to take a nice big step back with our left foot. Okay, and you can have your legs straight. Your left foot is going to be coming in at a slight angle if the ankle's open. If the ankle is tight, you can always have that heel in line with the toes. Okay, so first things first, let's tighten up through our quadriceps. Once again, let's draw that tailbone down and engage through our core. So if you feel like you're swaying out through your hips, try and draw them back underneath the shoulders. Extend the arms so they're parallel with the mat, and then look over those front fingertips and start to bend into your right leg. Good. So from here, we do want to work toward getting the knee over the ankle. If we're not that flexible or strong yet, it's okay, we're working in that direction. Maybe your warrior 2 looks like this today, okay? Otherwise, start to get that knee right over the ankle. We're going to work on building strength in this right quadricep. Just like we did in mountain pose, shoulders away from the ears, try to avoid hunching or crunching, and then just take one more breath as we build strength in the right quadricep. Inhale, exhale. Good. And then we'll just simply straighten through that front leg. In preparation for Trikonasana or triangle pose, keep the arms just as they are. And this time we keep the right leg straight as we reach forward with the right fingertips. And then arms are going to stay in parallel to one another as the right arm comes down toward the floor and the left arm comes up toward the ceiling. Okay, so you have the option here, maybe the hands on the thigh, maybe the hands on the shin, maybe the hands on the ankle. Wherever the hand is, try not to rest all of your weight there. Okay, so stay really engaged through the core. Take another full breath wherever you are. Inhale, exhale, and then inhale, keeping those legs straight, keeping the arms in line with one another. Use your core to lift, 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 and reach both arms up overhead. You're going to take both feet out at an angle. Okay, so that left heel will come in, left toes will be out. Good. Reach the arms up overhead. Inhale. It's called 5-pointed star. So get active through your fingers, palms face out. And even though we're active in lifting, we're not hunching the shoulders up, so draw the shoulders away from the ears. Don't forget about your quadriceps. They should be nice and tight here. Take another inhale. And then we're going to come into standing straddle splits. So take the heels right behind the toes. The toes might even be a slight bit pigeon-toed. Flip your palms so they're facing the earth, and then start hinging at the hips. So we'll just bump our hips back, keep the head in line with the spine, using some spinal strength as we come all the way forward. Now our hands are either going to come down onto blocks or onto the floor, depending on the flexibility of your inner thighs, or maybe to the ankles. Now, to the best of your ability, wherever your hands are, try to let the head go. So we're taking all the tension out of the neck and the shoulders and just letting that head dangle. So we're creating a little extra length in our back body. Once again, don't forget about your quadriceps, so get them nice and tight. And take another full breath. Ardha Uttanasana, or standing straddle splits. All right, so go ahead and come up basically to a halfway lift, like we were doing monkey pose. You can just walk your hands forward a little bit and then take your toes back out to an angle. We're going to return to 5-pointed star. So use the strength in your spine. Inhale, both arms up overhead. Reach up, extend, expand through 5-pointed star. And then we're going to take those poses on the other side. So you're just going to turn to the left. So bring your left toes right in front of your left heel, and then your right toes are going to start to come in at a slight angle. Okay, if the ankle is really tight or if you have an ankle injury, it's all right if that right toe is in line with the right heel. Otherwise, bring it in a little bit more. Set up your foundation, nice strong legs. Hips are open, shoulders are open, quads are engaged, arms extend parallel to the earth, reaching through the fingertips, and then we start to bend into that left leg. Good. Now, as we lunge forward, try not to reach forward. We want to keep the shoulders right over the hips, even if that means backing off of the lunge. If you can, the direction we're working toward is knee over ankle. If you're not quite there today, that's fine. We're just working in that direction. So for full expression of Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2, arms parallel, knee over ankle, nice straight back leg. Take another breath. The gaze comes across the front fingertips. And then making our way to Trikonasana, or triangle pose. Just straighten through that front leg and then start to reach. Left fingertips toward left toes. Keep those arms in line with one another as the left hand comes down and the right arm comes up. Good. So hand can either rest on the thigh or the shin, maybe down toward the ankle. Right arm reaches up. Take another breath in triangle pose. Inhale. Exhale. And then this time we're just going to bring that right hand to the floor, and we're going to lunge to the back of our mat, and we're going to step back in downward facing dog. So now we're facing the opposite direction on our mat. Just take one breath. Inhale and exhale. And then go ahead and make your way back down to a seat. So now that our muscles are nice and warm, we're going to take a couple of seated stretches. So come onto your mat, And we're gonna start with seated straddle splits first. So go ahead and extend your legs out to an angle, similar to our standing straddle splits. Okay, so that might look like this for you today. That's perfectly fine. If the hips are really tight and you need to be propped up on a block, that's great as well. If the legs are a little bit bent, that's fine. We're just working in the direction of extending the legs straight out to an angle. To the best of our ability, try to get the knees and the toes facing straight up to the sky or the ceiling. Keep those shoulders right over the hips. If that means that the hands are behind the hips on the floor for support to keep our spine nice and long, that's great. If you're feeling pretty open in the inner thighs and want to go a little bit deeper, just start walking the hands forward. Okay, maybe we just come onto the hands, maybe onto the forearms, maybe you can extend the arms straight. Everyone's going to be at a different level based on your own flexibility and experience. So just come to that point where you feel like you are stretching, you are working, but you don't feel any pain. To avoid any overstretching, be mindful of keeping your quadriceps, the tops of your legs, really engaged, almost so much that the heels could possibly come off the mat. So even in these seated stretches, we're really active in our muscles. Okay, so one more breath wherever we are. And walk your hands back up. From here, go ahead and use the hands to assist you as you bring the legs forward. Let's do a core strengthener called Navasana or boat pose. Nice standard yoga posture that strengthens the core and works on the muscles in our spine. So come to a seated position, head in line with the spine. So if you're seated like this, try to sit up nice and tall. And then you're just gonna slowly rock your weight back as we lift the heels off the floor. Maybe it looks like this today. That's fine, you can use those hands. Maybe we need the hands behind the thighs to help us hold the legs. Maybe we start to bring the legs to 90. Maybe the legs come to straight, okay? As we work the pose, you're gonna come to a different level. As we hold the pose, we wanna keep that chest lifted, shoulders lowered. Maybe arms extend. Take one more breath. Good, and then let's release, and we're gonna come into a pretty deep hip stretch. Okay, it's called fire log pose or seated pigeon pose. So work toward bringing your shin parallel to the front of the mat. And then we're gonna take that right leg and we're gonna stack it on top of the left. To the best of your ability, get that right ankle on the left knee and the right knee right over the left ankle, okay? So maybe that means that our leg is way up here, or maybe if the hips are open, you can start to gently press that right knee down toward the left ankle. As in every other pose we've practiced today, be mindful of the spine. So keep that head right over the shoulders, right over the hips. Try to avoid rounding. Don't sacrifice the length of the spine. And as always, once you get into the pose, if you're comfortable, you can just close your eyes and focus on the breath, since the breath really assists us in the poses. So take another full breath. And if the eyes are closed, open them up. We're gonna take another side bend here. So just take that right leg, bring it off to an angle, bring that left foot to right inner thigh. Knee and toes are gonna point up toward the sky, and then we're gonna twist. So we're gonna take that right hand to the left knee, and the left arm is gonna reach up and over. It might look like this today. Maybe we reach toward the toes. Just find that nice opening from the right shoulder down. You should feel, or the left shoulder, I'm sorry, a nice breath into your left ribs. And release wherever we are. And then we'll take the hip stretch on the other side. So this time we bring our right shin to the floor, parallel to the front of the mat. To the best of our ability, bring that left ankle to the right knee over the left ankle. Toes are in line with the heels. Head is in line with the spine. Take a nice deep breath here. Maybe it looks like this, or maybe we just gently start pressing that knee down toward the ankle. If we're comfortable, close the eyes, focus on the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the jaw soft. Keep the face soft. Even if the stretch feels intense, focus on the breath. And then we're going to take that side bend, extending that left leg off to an angle. Right foot comes to left inner thigh, and we're going to take it into a twist. So the left hand is going to come to the right knee, and then we're going to start to reach that right arm up and over. So again, it might look like this, or maybe we can take it a little bit deeper, maybe reaching toward those toes, but to the best of our ability, try to keep that shoulder in line with the hip. Take a nice deep breath into your right ribs. And release. All right, so we're going to wrap up our class with a spinal twist on our back. So go ahead and make your way onto your back. And you can take any variation of a spinal twist that feels comfortable for you. So make adjustments in your own body, but I'm going to guide you through one. So go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. We're going to keep the knees and the ankles and the toes side by side. We're going to extend the arms long, palms face down on the floor, and then just gently rock the knees to the right, keeping them stacked. Now, if that feels like too deep of a twist, you can just stagger your legs or take any other variation where you're getting a nice twist in your spine and it doesn't feel too uncomfortable. So you should be able to breathe nice and gentle into the belly in this position. And then bring those knees back to center, and we're going to take them to the opposite direction. So go ahead and release the knees to the left, extend the arms, palms face down, look to the right. And again, nice slow belly breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And then come back through center. Draw the knees back into the chest. Just neutralize the spine. Big breath. And then we're going to come into our final pose of class called Shavasana, or corpse pose. So extend your legs long on your mat. Let your feet fall open. And just move around, get comfortable so you're really grounded on your mat. Extend your arms long. Palms are going to face up. If you have a lot of space, take up that space. Now we've really focused on our breath all through class. Let's take one more deep, intentional breath. So inhale, fill all the way up. Hold it at the top just for a beat, maybe an extra sip of air. And then when you're ready, just let it go. And from here, just let go of the breath and come back to the natural rhythm. Jaw is soft, face is soft, fingers are nice and loose, feet just resting. And I encourage you to stay in Shavasana for as long as you can, possibly 5 to 7 minutes, if not more. Really take that time just to kind of soak up your practice. Just take your awareness to the sensations in your body and your breath. Maybe noticing how you feel different now in your Shavasana, in your resting pose, than you did when you first came and sat down on your mat. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Today, as you go forward, may you have peace in your thoughts, peace in your words, and peace in your heart. Namaste.